reset.
We need one of those barcode screens. Technical difficulties, please stand by.
Welcome, everybody. The board meeting is going to begin in just a few minutes. The board is trying to just log on to the Wi-Fi through the clubhouse, but we will begin in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Are we in business, do we think?
Maybe another minute.
See. We have rebooted the modem, and so in order to test that, it'll probably kick me off the meeting. So if I go away, that's why.
Okay, that's fine.
Carl, is it WB Pool? Okay.
Hey, everyone, it looks like we lost. No, Brian's still there. Never mind.
All right, we're getting Terry's PowerPoint. He's getting in the Zoom meeting, so he'll be able to share the screen when it's his time.
Okay, perfect. Everybody who's on the Zoom call, when the board meeting starts, if you have questions or comments for the board, just send me a chat, and then that way I can alert the board that there is a question or a comment.
Your meeting ID number again.
I'm sorry?
Thanks for your patience, everybody. We are just being fashionably late.
The meeting to order. Hadley, we're going to try and verify a quorum. Carl Barrett.
Yes.
Brian Smith.
Yes.
Alex Archer.
Yeah.
Tiffany Myers. And myself, Warren Lewis. We have a quorum present. We have the proof of notice. The notice of the meeting was posted on the bulletin board, and it was subsequently posted on the Dwellings Live for tonight's meeting. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening for our third meeting, which is actually our first Board of Directors meeting. It has certainly been a rough start for the board. The resignation of our elected vice president, resulting in a board reorganization, mass resignations of volunteers from the various committees, having to close the pool on two important weekends, Memorial Day and Father's Day. It certainly wasn't the start that I was hoping for. But however, I can assure you that we've been working hard to address many of the concerns and obtain answers to some of the questions you've asked. Issues like why has the pool been closed? Issues about paying for the sidewalk repairs and street tree issues. We'll have a presentation on that later this evening. Reducing and consolidating our legal matters under one legal team, the Massey-Burton legal team. Our communications effort, we'll also have a presentation on that this evening, and attempts to answer several of the questions that folks have been asking me. As far as where does our assessment money go? Landscape looks terrible, dead bushes, trees, the pool is green, the gate's not working, and so forth. Well, we certainly don't have all of the answers tonight, but I can assure you that with your help, and I'm hoping that several of you will volunteer for committees, that we can make significant improvements to Western Bay this year. I do have some answers about the pool and some answers about some of the other issues that I just briefly mentioned. But let's start with the pool. Looking back at some of the records, we haven't been able to find any records indicating that our sand filter hadn't been changed since 2018. An assessment that was done by the new company, One Stop, indicating that who have been servicing the pool since May of 2015, indicating that we needed a chemical controller in place. The only equipment that was on site was to manually operate some Stenner pumps, and we had a non-functioning chlorine pump. They indicated that in that condition, without a controller to regulate and track the dosing of the chemical levels, that it fluctuated too often, and it led to premature equipment wear and poor water quality. Hence, we had a green pool. We've been working with them. We've started to research the areas and the issues that they brought to our attention, and we are planning to buy some equipment that will correct this activity. We're hoping that we will have no further pool closures as we go through the year. We'll answer questions after.
I'm a certified swimming pool contractor in the state of
We'll answer questions after.
Operating assistant.
Let me finish them, please. Thank you. Question that we've heard from numerous residents as far as where the assessment money is going and so forth. Like I said, they talked about the landscape in poor condition and so forth. We are asking for an audit, and we are going to have an audit for a 3-year period. We will present more information on that when it's completed. We're also going to set aside probably a special meeting to have the reserve study team that was here come and answer our questions about the reserve study that was recently given to the board. Sidewalk and street trees, we have a legal opinion that establishes and places the maintenance responsibility for the sidewalks and street trees on the HOA. We realize that's a reversal of the prior practice, and we believe that there was justification for what was done in the past. However, we're going to be using this new legal opinion that we have from the Massey-Burton firm. We have many actions that remain open and many actions that are under review, such as the front gate signage. We're going to have a sign out there talking about no drop-off or pickup for kids coming from school. We're going to be taking down the yellow blinking lights and replacing it with some type of light that will address the fact that it's a 12-foot height restriction there. We have, we're going to address some of the communications issues that are on Dwellings Live. You know that several people have reported that they have been writing to Dwellings Live and have not been getting responses. We're going to do our best to try and clean that up with the efforts through our communications efforts. We're doing the best that we can. There's a lot of work to be done. We're with this small team that we have, and we're asking for volunteers. We're sure that we could accomplish the challenges that we face. Tonight, we're also going to be, several folks have volunteered already, and we're going to make a motion to bring those folks on board. There are several names that We have not worked through all of the paperwork yet, but we're working with other people whose name may not be mentioned tonight that have volunteered, and they will be hearing from us shortly. So I'd like to go into some of the committee reports. With the Infrastructure and Landscape Committee. Carl, is there anything that you'd like to add on that?
So far for the new landscape company that's here, we have seen some improvement and taking on some responsibilities, cleaning up close to the area where Brightly was really getting into. So I walked back there and I take a look myself, and I was pleased to see how they cut back further into the reserve, you know, what do you call that area?
Same.
Conservation, yeah, thank you.
Conservation.
Yes, so they were able to trim back close to the conservation area to make it look much more nicer. You know, because there's a few homes back there was complaining about how it was edging in onto their property, so that looks good. Otherwise, so far, looking at the boulevard coming down, it looks nice. Although we're having a lot of rain, the grass looks green and pretty. But so far, they have been a good job, you know, cleaning it up. And for the infrastructure issue, we don't really have any hot points right now with the infrastructure, except we have an issue back by the retaining wall, where we have water coming out of the wall that enters into a resident backyard. That's not cool. So there's a drain line that comes out of the wall, which open into the resident's backyard. So we're trying to move that water out from the resident's backyard to the street. However, we still have a little problem with the contractor because he kind of did a little sloppy work, and I'm not pleased with it. So we're trying to get him back, come back and rectify that issue. So as soon as we get that cleared up, then things should be fine.
Okay, that's it. All right, thanks a lot, Carl. If we could do the presentation on communication now, we can talk a little bit about the plans that we have for the communications committee and the communications program going forward.
Yeah, put down the light a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so I was planning to just provide a brief update on communications and provide some context and history in terms of where we are as a community. So actually, the prior board agreed to establish a communication committee back in June 22. And the original members of that committee were Carl Barrett, Chelsea Johnson, myself, Paula Smith, and Lisa Westyn. And really owe a lot of them thank you for the efforts that they put forward at the time. Clearly, for this to be successful, we need staff to basically come in and volunteer to assist with the effort. So the original mission was to propose a communication strategy to the board and for their consideration to try to improve and enhance communication among the board and Western Bay homeowners. The approach was to inventory and analyze the various communication mechanisms that were being utilized, to survey the community to get a sense of the primary issues and concerns, and assess the costs and that was needed to enhance communication as well as to sustain the changes that were being suggested. Now, back in February, based on that recommendation, the board did pass a resolution 2-1 to send out a communication survey. And back in March of 2023, the committee provided a report to the board to summarize the results. There were 173 responses, which I thought was really pretty good. And the vast majority of the responses were very constructive. The committee was to do further analysis of the responses and determine the feasibility, the cost, and sustainability of various changes to the communication vehicles, including possibly establishing a community newsletter. Now, unfortunately, there were some issues that came up, and the committee really wasn't able to sustain the effort. People had some things that came up personally, and so as a result, The board has been communicating since April of 23 that there was nothing to report in terms of communications. So that brings us to where we are now, trying to reestablish the committee and establish a plan for 2023. So we obviously have new board leadership. They've placed an emphasis on transparency and open two-way communication. So that would be a key focus of the effort. Communication charter has been submitted. It's waiting for board approval. I believe it's under review. Hopefully we'll receive approval this evening. The plan is to provide sustainable processes and assign volunteer resources that are responsible for the effort. So far, I've agreed to volunteer to the effort, and David Cohen. We certainly need more homeowners, and hopefully we'll get more homeowners to volunteer. Because, in my view, at least, communication is critical when you have a community like this, the size of it, the number of issues come up. And it's important, I think, to have timely communication that everyone can be on the same page and understand what's been happening. So, in terms of developing a 2025 communication plan, that's what I'll be working on with David very soon, and focus on, again, looking at those survey responses and using homeowner input to develop and maintain effective two-way communication channels in the community. Review and update information that's residing in dwelling live. I think Warren made a reference to someone's or individuals putting information in there expecting that they were going to get responses, and that hasn't really happened. And some of the information isn't as timely as it needs to be. So we're going to be working on that. And then finally, work to revise HOA information that's provided to new homeowners, because a lot of people in the surveys were saying that they really didn't know about this or didn't know about that. So hopefully if we were able to revise and provide additional information to the new homeowners, they'll have a sense as to what's really been happening and then what they can assist with. Just really briefly, some of the survey results. This is providing demographic information. Unfortunately, I guess the people on Zoom may not be able to see this, and I can send out this presentation so that everyone will have access to it. But you can see from the information here, the distribution in terms of age, in terms of the responses, and also in terms of the residency length, people that had provided responses to the survey. And that may have played into information that we had asked in terms of what they would, how they would prefer to get information from the board. But the majority of the respondents mentioned that they would like more information from the board in terms of the meetings, the result, the agendas, and information that was discussed at the meeting, information about maybe community events and activities and upcoming projects. But the results clearly demonstrated the need to offer multiple communication vehicles, whether it be email, some successful text messages, some prefer some of the portals. So we'll be going through and trying to determine the best and how to enhance and how to prioritize the focus of the communication efforts. And we'll be working on that in the next couple of months. Now here's an example of a Westyn Bay newsletter that we were starting to work on, and you can see it would provide updates on the various committees. It would provide information on different community events. And I apologize, the board has turned around to look at the screen, they can't see it. But certainly this is something that I think we can do. But again, it gets down to the resources available to assist with it and put it together. This is just a template that one of the members of the committee has worked on. So I know I keep saying this, but the next step is clearly to continue to try to seek volunteers to help, because without that help, we won't be able to accomplish and we won't be successful. And I know the board is very much interested in improving communication. Again, I also made reference earlier to presenting a communication plan to the board for approval, and I intend to communication plan agreed to, by the next meeting. And then, we'll keep the doc and, open to any questions.
Can everyone online please mute? Everyone online, can you please mute?
Okay.
Perfect.
And,
Yes.
Yes, okay, that is active online community communication module that you can access and is real time. And everyone can communicate live. Now,
Okay, so something different to Zoom or Teams or.
totally different. I work in the emergency services industry and emergency care. And we use WebEx because it is real time live right now. And everybody can communicate and receive real time information at any point in time.
So I'm not familiar with it, but, are you, homeowner in the community? Can you join the
I am,
committee?
I
Would you like to join the communication committee? Because maybe you can share that information and maybe it would be one of the tools that we can use to, help
absolutely,
the effort.
absolutely. I live at 2959 Carrassi Drive, right, now, I'm sorry, I'm also a construction worker. Okay, so you have
So
to,
that would be great because we really do need volunteers, people with various expertise. My background is banking, so that doesn't help.
well, I'm a certified general contractor, I'm a certified swimming pool contractor, I'm a certified residential contractor, I'm a certified registered nurse, I'm a certified physician.
Okay, so
So
we can
whatever
provide
you
the
need to
name.
do, I'll help you to do.
Okay.
Okay, and you can use my licenses at will.
That would be great.
Thank you.
No, it's free.
okay, Reed, thank you. Thanks a lot, Reed. Okay. Brian, you want to do finance?
And you're welcome to use my licenses in the state of Florida at will. I will trust my neighbor, Brian. He will totally protect me, I'm sure. And whatever you need to get permitted, whatever, I have been a contractor since 2002. Zero failure rate. So whatever you need, I'm here for you.
Okay, thank you, Don.
All right, moving on to the Finance Committee report. We're in the process of putting the Finance Committee together, so I'll just walk through the high-level overview here of what the May books look like. And as of May 31st, most recent close month, of course, in our operating account, we have $737,000 roughly. I can give you the exact numbers, but I'll just round it up. And then in the reserves, which is mostly held in CDs and money market, so there's some interest being earned on that. $2.6 million there. There's a few other smaller account receivable and things like that. So the total assets as of May 31st, $3,408,056.35. Give you the exact number there. As far as May financials go, we were ahead of budget on income by $4,400 roughly, which brings us for the fiscal year, and we're on a calendar fiscal year, January 1 through December 31st. So we completed the 5th month of our fiscal year. Currently, we're $23,600 ahead on income for the year. The total budget on income for the year is $1.4 million, and we're $23,000 ahead on that. No major concerns on that. May is not necessarily a high income month because assessments are, coming quarterly. So May is not one of those when they would hit hard. On the expense side, for May, we were $21,136 over budget on expenses. But again, because May is not a high income month because of the dues coming in, that's not really a concern. Brings us to the net income for month, which of course is income minus expenses is the net $16,700 in the red for May. But again, a 1 month snapshot, nothing to be concerned about. We look at the year to date on that, and we are actually ahead of budget on the net by $8,675. which is on expenses, we're 14,900 over budget, but the income is that much more over budget. So our total right now is $8,675 in the black as of May 31st.
What's projected for year end based on what we know?
Projected year end based on what we know is, actually do not have that projection here, but 5 months in, I can do some quick math for you. We are 8675 divided by 5 times 12. Projected would be, that's not the right number. It helps to,
Well, maybe, yeah.
no, I can, Donna has certifications and everything. Some of us are just certifiable. So if we take the current over budget amount through the fiscal year, which is 8675, we divide that by 5 to get an average for the month, multiply that times 12, gives us a projected overage of $20,820 as of May. So it's early in the year, but that's what we'd be. If things stayed as they are now, that's what we'd be close on.
Thank you.
Great question. Yes, sir. Any other questions?
No, I have a statement. You all cannot be in better hands than within Brian's hands on Sunday, okay? I can testify to you that. So you trust his numbers and whatever you need for my licensures, I'm right behind you.
Thank you, Donna. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Brian. As far as the security report goes, on the 19th, Carl and I had a meeting with the Vice President of Operations for CWS and the program manager that handles our account. And we discussed a couple of things. We discussed additional personnel for like holiday weekends, like 4th of July weekend is coming up. Labor Day in September, Columbus Day in October, Halloween also in October, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Eve. Trying to get some additional personnel because we know that there'll be a number of people coming to help eliminate some of the traffic at the gates and to probably do some roving patrols. We also talked about complaints that come in. Instead of sending the complaints to them piecemeal as we have been sending them, we're going to collect all the complaints, and every Monday we'll send the complaints to them. They'll assess the complaints and come up with a plan as far as what they have to do. Additionally, Carl is going to work with, they have 8 people that are on board now as far as it needs some additional training with the cameras that we have. So Carl is working with them to set up a schedule where we will do the training for them on the cameras. And that's it that we have from that meeting. Any further comment? Sorry.
I think we need to make a huge effort to make sure this pool is open at all times. Because
Excuse
our
me?
families-
What's open?
Our pool, we
Okay.
need to make a huge effort to make sure that our pool is open at all times. I don't utilize the pool at all, okay? Because I'm working on 5 hours a week. I have 5 different jobs, okay? So, but for these families here, that's why they're here, to be able to relax and enjoy and have a peace of mind, to be able to enjoy these amenities that we offer in this community. And we need to make a huge effort to make sure that these families can utilize these facilities and they are not shut down on those holidays, that they can actually enjoy a moment of peace. We're at a war as a country, okay? They need a piece of way to relieve their stress. And I implore you all to make sure that this pool is open for these families on those days, on every day, that this pool remains open and these facilities and amenities remain open for these families to have some kind of relaxation and relief from the stress of daily life. Amen.
Okay, we are certainly trying our best with that. As I indicated before, we've had some equipment problems. And certainly if the pool is not healthy enough to operate, we'll have to close it.
Well, I'll make sure.
Okay, well, we believe that we have a very capable company that's working with us now. We are working to acquire necessary equipment that should keep the pool functioning.
If they're falling short, I'll give you my contractor's license, I will buy whatever you need, and we'll get it done.
We appreciate the offer. We'll keep that in mind. Thank you, Don.
But these families need to have some kind of freaking relief from stress.
Moving to the next item, we need to, review and approve the prior minutes, from prior meetings. I entertain a motion for meeting on, May the 12th, 2025.
I make a motion to approve the minutes, at 12, 2025.
Second,
All in,
Motion is on the floor to approve the minutes for May the 12th by Carl and seconded by Brian. All in favor?
aye,
Aye. It's carried unanimously. For the meeting of May 21st, 2025,
so moved,
make a motion.
so moved,
So moved, motion by, Brian.
Steve second.
You made the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Motion for May the 21st was moved by, Carl and seconded by Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. And for the meeting of May the 25th, need a motion to, approve that minutes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for,
May the 25th.
May 25th.
A second.
Motion on the floor by Alex to approve the minutes of 5:25 and seconded by Carl. All in favor?
aye,
Aye. Motion carries. Because as far as our new business, we want to ratify the pool inspection repairs from One Stop.
I wanted a suggestion. Considering we're going into a situation of kids are out for school and I work in emergency room services. And I'm sorry, I look like a contractor right now, but I would recommend that we have some kind of event for drowning prevention. If we can have an event where we educate our community to prevent drowning. You don't want to see a drowning kid, trust me. I've seen too many.
Have an activity to educate the community on preventing drowning. Certainly something that we can consider doing. Is there somebody that teaches that, that you're aware of?
At this community level, no, because I work in Orlando proper and also in Winter Garden, so. But I can advocate for ATA to prepare an event for you.
Okay, we'll look into it and see what we can come up with, and we will certainly have it communicated out to.
I think it's very important for children to know, how to save their life.
Okay.
And for parents.
We will look into that, and we will certainly tap on you to see what resources you know or are familiar with that we can also utilize. Thank you, Donna. So our new business, we want to talk about ratifying the pool inspection repairs done by One Stop. It's in our respective packages. Their motion to ratify the expense. It's an expense of,
I make a motion to go ahead and approve the expense.
How much is that?
That was, total, one section was 510. And then we have another school inspection report, that was 1,900.
2,450.
Yeah, one total, 20. Yeah, that was 24 out of 10.
And that brings it in, that'll get it working, right, then?
And,
To bring it into compliance.
yes,
That's part of it. That's not all of it.
Okay, that's what I was getting at.
That's a part of it. Okay, Because right now there were some health code violations, and that brings the health code violations non-existent anymore.
We have one of the lights out, the pool, plus this flashlight.
Is everybody familiar with the pool report that the Vice President speaking of? And the violations that were written up in that? Is everybody familiar with that? No. Let me read that to you real quickly. There's a Department of Health non-compliance. It was an inoperative pool light. It's must be replaced per DOH requirements, Department of Health. And the proposal with One Stop Pools, his, of course, they would address that. Second violation was a failed influent gauge. It's gauged into the filter, should be replaced, and there's a failed effluent gauge. So in and out of gauges have been, they're worn out. Looks like they're be replaced with new oil-filled influent and effluent gauges. And I'm just reading a report. Don't ask me what that means. And there's a perfect. That's exactly what it does. And it does something. And there's a jet nozzle malfunction that requires inspection. And the report has some pictures in there. And just the scope of work that the pool vendor here would address each of those concerns. So those are the health code violations that all this would be addressing.
The jets would be for the
Splash pad.
splash out there, the light for the pool. And the gauges that he's talking about is the one that's telling us the pressure that's in the sand filters back there. Those wasn't operating.
What was the total cost for those three? What was the total cost for those three?
24 and 10, 24 now.
If you want to compare the pricing of that, I can give you contractor pricing at any of the contractors that are local vendors that I use as a contractor, as swimming pool contractor. So you can compare those prices and use those prices if you need to, and you're welcome to use my accountants.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate that, and certainly, as you know, the pool was green, and we had to get a company in here, and so what I'm saying is that we were using the company that came and started doing the work. We were unaware of it. We'll certainly consider what you've offered.
Right, Brian's my neighbor, so he has access to me 24/7. So if you need contract pricing for any of this stuff, like cut the middleman out, just buy it wholesale.
Okay. All right, so motion was made by
And second
by Carl, seconded by Natalie.
Tiffany.
I'm sorry,
Tiffany.
Tiffany, excuse me, Tiffany, excuse me. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I do agree as well, guys.
I'm sorry,
I agree as well.
you agree with, thank you.
Yes.
All right, but you didn't second the motion, so I'm glad.
No, I didn't.
As far as she knows.
Okay. Next item is to approve the weekend clubhouse cleaning. We've been having, as you know, we rent the facility out, and there've been a number of occasions where individuals who rented the facility come in and find the facility not properly cleaned. So we've hired a company that will on weekends clean Saturday and Sunday mornings. The company is called Narrow Cleaning Company. It's a local person. It's actually a resident here within the community. So we are moving to approve the weekend cleaning maintenance contract.
You're gonna have them keep on the weekend when there's nothing going on.
I'm sorry?
Weekend.
Every weekend the facility is rented. Yeah. And generally people that come in either find it not clean and, you know, so if we're gonna rent it, we should have the facility clean.
So how is the deposit being handled?
How's the deposit? Well, they're expected to leave it clean. but sometimes people had not left to clean. And so the next person coming in finds it dirty, and while they might lose their deposit, the next person coming in,
So we're applying that deposit to the cleaning services being funded.
no, when you rent a facility, you put a deposit down. If you leave it clean, you get the money back.
But if they don't, then we're retaining that deposit monies to fund this process.
We're
correct?
retaining that money, yes, but then the next person that rents it, if you rented it for the morning, I rent it for the afternoon, and you leave it dirty and I come, it's dirty, then I have to clean up the mess that you've left. So we have the company that comes in and make sure it's clean in the morning. They also make sure it's clean the next morning.
And also one of the issues that second in line rent facility use folks have had is the first part, they keep the room clean, they clean it up when they're done, but they put all the stuff in the trash can. Of course, the trash can's overflowing because there's only one or two, then that's an inconvenience for the next person. So this addresses, even though folks may clean the room when they're done, there's still trash can full.
We're hiring service to accommodate that
Yes,
deficit.
yes.
Do people
Yes, sir.
need to put a deposit down if they're gonna have a party out on the pool deck? There's been, I mean, the last few weekends, there's been, parties of 20, 25 people or more. Outside, inside the pool deck. Around inside the beds.
That will be hard because if you have a group of people, what constitutes a party though? If it's like 20 residents or 20 kids, is that, they can say, no, it's not a party, but it's still a large gathering.
Right, I'm just saying that. To
I-
my knowledge,
Nope.
they've left a lot of garbage here.
Correct,
Stuff,
yeah. But even throughout maybe a 6-hour period of groups of 5.
Just the
that
positive
trash
limit for this
accumulates
one.
on top. So there's like a stopgap to prevent that measure, but I do get it that if somebody's out there throwing a party and they're filling that up, what do we do? But
So
they're not
here's the
ready to
thing,
consider
so like, we know this is an issue, then why aren't we just accommodating the issue? We're here to keep these people happy and keep everybody having less stress in their life
Correct.
and keep everybody from having a heart attack, okay?
Yeah.
So can't we just like hire some people to collect the trash?
That's what we did.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's essentially the stopgap, is to alleviate
right,
that stress.
because it's less, it's more important to keep our community happy and stress-free and comfortable and relaxed and to know that they're in a safe place, in a safe environment, and if they fill up the trash can, so be it, we'll empty it.
At this point, the deposit is strictly for using this room. There's not a deposit required for gatherings outside this room. We can certainly look into that if it's warranted, but for now, the deposit is just for this room. Great
So-
question, thank you.
All right, so that was the motion was made by. Who made the motion to?
No, we didn't make a
We didn't make
motion.
Okay, so I entertain a motion to approve the weekend clubhouse cleaning.
And trash collection,
Cleaning.
I made the motion.
It's
Trash collection is in that contract.
in there.
Empty trash is,
and we all live in a happy environment because we all love each other.
All right. Clean the restrooms, clean the kitchen.
Exactly. Whatever it takes, man.
and if they leave anything on the pool.
I'll work
deck,
an extra
they will
shift to
clean
make
it.
y'all happy, okay?
So is there a motion
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
and seconded?
I'll second it.
The motion on the floor by Carl to approve the weekend clubhouse cleaning and seconded by Alex. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried unanimously. We want to approve the trellis replacement on the trellis outside on the pool area. There are a number of pieces of wood that are rotten and need to be replaced. We have a proposal to from CNN Prestige Contracting to do that work.
CM Prestige have been doing a lot of work for us. They're the one who repaired the guard shack when they get hit. They're the one also repaired the Eagle Landing wall for us. And they have been giving us some good prices. So we decided to go with them for them to fix the, what do you call it?
The trellis,
Trellis.
Trellis.
out of the-
Isn't it a pergola?
the pergola, well, the strips on top,
Yeah.
the trellis, what we're talking about. Pergola, trellis.
So they're gonna remove those rotten woods out of it.
That was done about 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah,
It's like recurring now. The
so,
clock is going up.
Maybe going up to. When it's completed.
so I wanna make the, motion to approve the estimate we have here for, $4,200.
I have a motion on the floor to,
Excuse me,
Approve.
guys. Excuse me, sorry. So I think we can, because you're gonna be replacing all of the beams on the structure, you do have reserves, for physical structures, and I believe we can use the reserves. So if you want to allocate that amount to the reserves, then just include that in your vote.
okay, all right.
I think it's a good idea. It'll help with the expenses in the budget, so.
So we have a motion on the floor from Carl to approve the pavilion trellis replacement. We can use the reserve funding for that. Is it seconded? Seconded by Tiffany. I'm sorry,
Good job.
good job. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. The next resolution is the spending authority for presidential spending authority resolution. I think we had done it incorrectly last time, so we want to correct it this time. Yes,
Real quick, so what kind of material is gonna be used for the structure?
I can answer that. I asked the same question about, I asked the question, to the contractor last week, and he just wanted to let us know that it's not, it's not the standard lumber that you would get from Home Depot or Lowe's.
On an HOA meeting.
I
Um,
think-
One second, guys, let me just mute this person. Okay. He said that they buy their supplies and lumber from a supplier that actually supplies lumber for boat docks in fresh and walk water. So the material's a little bit more expensive, but they found that it's a lot more durable and will last longer than other materials that they've used in the past. So it's a good lumber, and the process they use to pressure treat it and the chemicals are of high quality.
I believe there are newer composite, materials that would withstand, the test of time and that would not degrade over time, that would not even be considered as pressure treated. But I think you all should investigate that before you commit to this contractor because, there are better products available on the market.
Okay. We've used this contractor several times, and he's done a lot of work in the community and we've been very satisfied with his work, so.
Understandable, but however, I'm a general contractor, and I'm gonna tell you professionally that there are better products available in the market.
Well, at this point, the motion on the floor is to accept this contract. So should the board vote no for the motion, then we can consider revisiting the issue. But the vote for the board at the moment is on this particular contract for 4,200 as written by CN Prestige. So just to clarify for the board, that's the question at hand for the moment. But thank you, Donna, for the discussion.
and we already made the motion.
and the motion was made and seconded,
It was made, seconded, and passed already.
right? Okay. So we're on to the issue of the presidential spending authority.
Yeah.
This, we are talking about spending of up to $5,000 on any one item that's related to specific approval granted by the board.
Yeah, normally the president has $5,000 honorary expenditure spending. And so we just want to just put this in context.
Yeah, I just want you guys to know there are better products on the market, so in the future, if you want to explore those, you're happy to utilize my contractor pricing, so you can get the better product for less money that will really stick the next time, okay?
Okay,
I just wanted to try to save you guys money, that's it.
and we also want to put in writing that for emergency funds, we have a $10,000 that the president can use for emergency funds, just in case a pump or something goes out, we doesn't have to call the board. They cannot get a pump.
So please, just get a hold of me, because I give you like the low cost
And,
prices on pumps.
Second, we also approved that the treasurer and the president has a credit card to use for also purchasing maintenance supplies and stuff like that. So we did approve, I think we did approve that last board meet, but we just need to
Put it in there.
So what are the spending limits? Are they 5,000 under normal circumstances,
Five.
10,000?
for
It's
emergency.
an emergency,
Yeah,
and then what is it for the treasurer and
the credit card, one for the treasurer, one for the president, we use
2,500.
for, and it's like 2,500 each for maintenance supplies, like if something happened, you could run down to the store and get it. Because before we used to use our own our own money, and have to wait for 30 days to get it back. And that's kind of like a little, not too cool.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. There are motions on the floor and you,
I make a motion to go ahead and approve this.
okay,
Second.
motions on the floor from Carl to accept the $5,000 expenditure for ordinary expenses, $10,000 in an emergency, $2,500 for a credit card for both the president and the president and treasurer. And seconded by Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, we're gonna do this presentation for the street tree and sidewalk.
Street, it's just sidewalks.
Street
Sidewalks.
sidewalks, I'm sorry, sidewalks.
I can do the other one. Waited so long and shut down.
The projector went to sleep. I hope no one else
That's
did.
fine, just like everybody else.
That's it.
There.
Now, while Terry is getting his presentation booted up, that was quick. No one wants to hear me talk.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Terry approached us after the annual meeting, whenever that was, a month or so ago, about the issue with the sidewalks and some other things. And so we very gratefully listened to what he had to say. And he put together this presentation and did a significant amount of research into this. And so just to set the table for what Terry's going to discuss now, this is the doings of an expert. He spent his career in, among other things, road construction and things like that. So he knows what he's talking about.
Thank you. My name is Jerry Craper. I live over on Soda Circle. It's like the third home in here when we started up, so I've been here for quite a while, looking at all the things that are going on. So when the issue with the sidewalks came up, and stuff talking about the repair, my concern was, according to the documents, that's not what the documents said. The documents show that the repair of the sidewalks falls duly in the seat of the association. Now, when it falls in the association, it's still our money. So you're gonna pay for it one way or another. But all I did was I came to him and said, let me show you the documents. And then you take the attorneys and see what the attorneys say. So it's a little long, it's about 25 slides long, but I want to go through all the documents and walk through everything, what it says, so everyone will understand. So the document we're talking about, the one document is the our HOA document, referred to as the DCCNR. Okay? That you can find the new website, the way it's all been updated. You can actually go find a searchable version that's right on there, so you can go in and search for anything you want. Makes it pretty easy. So to understand what I'm going to talk about, you have to understand three terms: walkways, walks, and sidewalks. The writer of this document understands those terms, and you'll see when they see how they use them. This is kind of hard to see, I'm sorry, we have better. Now, I have a handout. I was gonna make them and hand them out, but just this little handout was $20 to make one. But I said no. Now you have to have too many. Even to do it in black and white, they want $7.50. I said no.
But if you give us your email address, there's a sheet back there. If you give us your email address, we'll send you the presentation that he's doing.
Scan it in. If you scan the file, and there also I have something posted, so y'all can take a look at it for yourself. So I'll read through this. Basically, a walkway is a general term. It encompasses a broad group of walkways, which include sidewalks, walks, skywalks, trails, paths. All of those are walkways. It's a general term. Okay, that's a walkway. Next, a walk. A walk is a designated path for walking, often informal or recreation. Where walks? From your front door to your driveway. Front door around your pool, to your kitchen out back. They're informal. Okay? They're also regulated by the developer and the ARC. You'll see later on that if you want to build a walkway or something, you're supposed to do it. Just like everything, you want to add a building, you want to change your landscape, you have to do the ARC. The last term is a sidewalk. Sidewalk specific. It's regulated by multiple agencies. We have the American with Disability Act, it talks about sidewalks. That's why when the group was looking, hey, we got to cut something. You've already got a 1/4 inch raise, you got to cut the sidewalk. Or you got to do something to fix it. If you notice all around town, the big sidewalks, they're always in cities cutting slabs out and replacing. Yeah. But a sidewalk is a paved path alongside a street for pedestrians. It should protect pedestrians so they don't have to walk in the street. It's also regulated by the Federal Department of Transportation, Florida Department of Transportation. It tells you exactly how you have to build it. Those little bubble mats are scored before you go across the road. That's all a requirement. Tells exactly how. So when you really look at it, walkways are everything: sidewalks, footpaths, boardwalks, skywalks, catwalk, breezeways, all of those are walkways. And sidewalks and walks, all the individual ones are specific types of walkways. But to go back to the original algebra class, you know, unions and intersections. All sidewalks are walkways. All walkways, not sidewalks. That's why you gotta understand. So if we go and look, how many times were these terms used in our HOA documents? Very important. You'll see that walkways, the term is used twice. Walks, terminations request. Sidewalks. 26 times. Let's go in and look at some of that. Walkways are used in documents in definition, page 12 of 81, in the ERC section, page 51 and 52. What does it say? In the definition, common property shall mean refer to all real property and all property. And it goes down and lists everything, and it talks about landscaping, irrigation, masonry, walls, fences, and walkways. Why does it say walkway? That was talking about everything, because if you look, here's some pictures. That's right out here. There's a sidewalk. There's our bike path. That's actually, can't see too well. That's going right out there to the dock. All those are walkways. They're all specific types, right? And there's a walk going to a house. In the general section for the ARC, says no building, house, garage, fence, swimming pool, deck, patio sign, outdoor lighting, walls, exterior, all the way down. Landscaping talks about walkways. All any of those things you have ARC gets approval on. That means sidewalks, walks you put on your property, bike path, ARC, let's do approval on that. Okay. Let's look at walks. Section 12.1.b, page 64, and section 4C, 41C, page 22. What's it say about walks? Lots and residential units. Now, lots, you have to understand what is the lot. Let me show you what a lot is. Second here, I want to pull something up. See if you can see this very well. This happens to be my lot for my plat. The lot is defined with this line right here. Here's my lot line. What you really can't see on here is I'm looking at the center of the road going to this lot line. Let me show you how that's laid out. From the center of the road to the front of the curb, or to the front of the curb is 12 feet. We have very wide streets. You know, some of these other developments are down to 10 feet. It's kind of crowded, so we're pretty good. We have good wide streets. The curb itself is 2 foot. So now you're up to 14 feet. From the back of the curb to the front of the sidewalk right there is 6.5 feet. The requirements inside here says the sidewalk has to be 4 feet. And then there's a 1/2 foot from the back of the sidewalk to your lot line. That's all common property. All belongs to the association. All right. So the lots, it talks about each lot's residential unit owner shall be responsible for the maintenance of his lot or her lot. And resident unit with respect to the lots and other townhouses all the way down. And it talks about what we're responsible for. Replace and care for the trees, shrubs, grass, and other exterior improvements. Talking about my lot. Right. Notice it said walks, because what's on my lot? A walk. The other section here is the ARC. The services association shall have the powers herein to go in and what? In addition to maintenance, the association may provide exterior and other maintenance upon any lot residential unit. This is talking about the association has the right to come in and say, you're not maintaining your house. You're doing this. You got a dead tree. You need to do this. You need that. And if they send you out an email or letter that says you have to take care of this in 10 days, if you don't, the association has the right to go get that taken care of and then back charge you for it. It says right here. Okay, and when it talks about we're responsible for replace and maintenance, what they can look at your roof, your gutters, your downspouts, exterior buildings, trees, shrubs, grass, and what? Walks. That's what's on your lot. No sidewalk on my lot. Walkway. Or walk. Now the big one. Sidewalks. 26 references talks about in the DCCRs for sidewalks. I'm gonna cover 7 of those because this is where, if you look at the DCCR, what it's talking about, they're always assigning responsibilities and requirements. What has to be done, who's responsible. That's all it's really saying. With the whole document does. So we're gonna go through these 7. All lots should have what? 4-foot sidewalk. The way they did this, the developer goes in, they went to the city and says, hey, we're gonna build this development, here's our plats, here's what it looks like. They say, here's our sidewalks and all this. But they don't want to go through and just build the streets, but they don't want to go through and build all the sidewalks, because what will happen is they start to build or come to build a house, doing sidewalk. So what they do is they say, hey, Mr. Developer, you're gonna put a house on there, you finish the sidewalk out when the house is done. That way you don't have to load the sidewalks and stuff. So it has to have a 4-foot sidewalk and commencing 6 inches from the outside lot line. Remember I told you it's a half foot? Where that comes from.
So the lots have a sidewalk.
The lots do not have a sidewalk.
What it says, all lots shall have 4-foot wide sidewalk.
In front of the lots.
It says spanning the entire lot width. The lots have 4-foot wide sidewalk. Pretty straightforward English.
Expanding the lot width, not the lot width.
It says all lots shall have 4-foot wide sidewalk. That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, we read it wrong. Gotta learn how to read contracts.
No, you read it wrong.
No, I didn't.
Well, back up one screen, Terry.
Yeah.
Immediately following his highlighted section. Backward screen, went forward.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's good.
I went backwards.
Commencing 6 inches outside the lot,
line.
but he just didn't highlight that part.
Yeah.
Well, let's read the last sentence, installed within the roadway between the curb and the lot.
That's right.
So your lot line is from the sidewalk 6 inches to your house. So essentially, the
Sidewalk.
sidewalk
In the
is
common
on
area.
a lot, but it's not on your lot.
That's right. It's
It's
in front of the
common area.
lot, 6 inches from your lot line with inside the common area.
Right.
That's exactly what it is. That's why I put the plat drawing so I can show it to you.
My point is that it's ambiguous, all right? There's ambiguous language throughout these DCCRs, and that's a good example right there. Yeah.
So the swale between the road and the sidewalk is community property.
If it's like, one, you have to look at the flat drawing and see the drawing where that swell is. That swell is outside your lot line, yes, it's common property.
Well, it's on the other side of the sidewalk,
Yes.
so it has to be.
That's right. All right. Establishment of maintenance and repair accounts. In addition to all other assessments provided, the declaration association shall levy mandatory reserve assessments in order to collect in advance sufficient funds to pay for the following. The only reason I put D in here is because that says capital repair and other major capital repair and placement of other subdivision infrastructure such as sidewalks. So this is where it's telling you the association is required to maintain a fund, pay for this. 8.3, routine infrastructure maintenance. Money's on deposit, routine infrastructure, including investment carrying. Goes down here and talks about its repair of streets, surface, water system, including storage, area, sidewalks. So you can see I have a document starting to say the association is responsible for doing this and you're responsible for collecting money and assessments to do this. Capital repair. Money's on deposit with capital repair infrastructure, including investments may be used by the association only for major repair construction. Okay, so this one's for the major. Again, stormwater system sidewalk, you all understand the stormwater, the roads, the curbs, the sidewalks, everything falls in urban construction. Now, the only thing I never saw it, Greg, maybe you might help me, because I didn't see it listed. Does the lift station fall under our responsibility, or is that the city's?
County.
The county actually owns the lift station, because I never saw it listed in here.
County.
Thank you.
Lift station is not stormwater, but lift station is,
That's sanitary sewer.
and
That's force main and then the gravity is in there. Next section, capital repair, the association must deposit each year capital structure money sufficient for structures, and it lists in here, goes on down, talks about, you gotta do it every 50 years. Maintenance pending turnover. Now, the document was originally written from the deck where the whole developer was building this, knowing that they were going to turn this over. So it lists prior to turnover, they were responsible. Once the turnover falls into the association's hands. Okay, and it lists all the stuff. And one of the things in here says this insufficient monies in the routine infrastructure maintenance account shall not relieve the deck homeowner association. Responsibilities to maintain, repair street sidewalks.
that language has to do with the turnover of the declarant to the HOA.
That's right.
So that doesn't, what it says is the declarant's responsibility, it doesn't transfer to the HOA. You're making a leap there.
Okay. Now, there's something in here, may not read it off here.
And just while Terry is looking that up, currently in reserves in the infrastructure and routine infrastructure designated accounts, we're holding roughly $880,000. So this has been taken care of through the years. You know, by the time that's built up to almost $900,000 in reserves for specifically infrastructure and routine infrastructure.
And that's laid out in the reserve study, how much you need to put in
Yes.
there every year.
Absolutely is, yes, thank you.
One of the things in here talks about is that you are buying a home which have access to a private gated community in the city of Ricoh, and you should know the basic facts. One of the things they want you to understand is although the cost of properly maintaining, repairing roads, sidewalks, and drainage can be very high, only the owners of the homes and the lots of the entire will share these expenses and tax dollars and will not be used, the members must also pay for the cost of liability insurance. In other words, we're buying into a homeowner association, we use a homeowner association to do a lot of stuff, but there's a cost associated with all that. Hey, hire someone empty the trash cans today. Okay, that's great, but it's gonna cost, and he's gonna add, he's gonna say, you're gonna have to raise the rates. That's why I say you're supposed to look at all this and set these monies aside. Sidewalks. So here's a statement that just came out, 4/14. It said, it was posted on the website, Calling It Live. It says per legal advice, section 12(1)(b) will be interpreted as placing responsibility of maintenance area, curb, and sidewalk on the homeowner.
Where did that come from?
That is what you guys posted. That's in your document. I copied straight from the document.
What document?
Policies and procedure documents.
Procedures document.
This was essentially the last act of the previous board of directors, updated the policy and procedures document and made this statement. And some of your question earlier about the lot and some of the ambiguity in that language is likely the source of some of this. And we're gonna, as Terry moves through the presentation, we have a resolution here at the end to address all of this and put a final, hopefully bow on it that I think will please everybody. But that's part of where, that's where this came from.
Well, yeah, if someone comes up and drops a concrete block on the sidewalk as part of their construction of their house or some project on their house,
Who pays for building that sidewalk?
You would, if it was a building, you go back and sue the builder to damage the property, yes.
Who sues the builder, homeowner or the association?
Association would, the sidewalk owns association. So anyway,
It's a simple principle. When somebody does damage, they pay for it.
so it's
But it's-
what was posted. But 12B1, 1B doesn't say sidewalk. Main responsibility, 12.1B.
That's
Said-
a sidewalk.
No, it doesn't.
Well,
It says walk.
you keep crossing
This
over.
sidewalk-
One has to do with damage, the other has to do with routine maintenance.
Right,
Both are responsibility of the association.
No, they aren't. If someone damages your property, they're responsible to pay.
So,
The front gate got damaged, you guys didn't go up the person that damaged the gate.
Your point is exactly correct. You go after the person who damaged it, and what the presentation here is saying that the homeowner doesn't do that, the association does it, because the view of the board, which you'll see here, when
But
we
the
get to the
homeowner
end,
pays for it.
is that the association owns a sidewalk, so the association would sue the builder, not you, the homeowner, who got the contractor, so.
I think what he's saying is that the homeowner damages their own sidewalk. The association is gonna sue the homeowner for repair their sidewalk.
sidewalk, yes.
Yes. And the key point here is 12.1B says walk, not sidewalk.
That was that.
Reference back to the beginning of the presentation, the specific
Whether
language.
it's a walk or sidewalk is irrelevant to the argument. The argument is you damage it, whatever it is. Okay, you damage it, you repair it. You pay for it, you break it, you buy it.
Do people online have a chance to comment, participate?
No.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, as long as you can hear me. I
Yes.
just want to comment on that. I don't understand the argument. Someone damages your property, you have the right to go after that person, but it's the property of the association. The association has any right to go after who damaged it. Seems pretty clear to me.
Yes, that's exactly the point.
Um,
The point of
Help.
the point of Terry's presentation,
well,
I'm sorry.
this is, may
Go
I
ahead, Bill.
speak?
Go ahead, Bill.
This is, I'm Bill Crawford, and I've been involved with the street tree issues since the very beginning, back in 2013. And the whole issue here, it's not who's taking care of the sidewalk. That belongs to the HOA. And that's why we never let, we didn't want people to fix the sidewalks themselves. It was the responsibility of the HOA. The only time the homeowner was charged with paying for the cost of repairing a sidewalk was after the first time that a street tree that the homeowner chose to keep caused the damage. If a tree lifted a sidewalk the first time, the HOA paid for it, notified the homeowner that the tree was causing damage, and the homeowner then had the opportunity to have it removed. This goes back to where the HOA, wait, excuse me, let me speak. The HOA, the Westyn Bay was required to plant trees, thanks to Vandergrift's wife. And so that came in, and it was a prejudicial matter against Westyn Bay, because developments before Westyn Bay did not have to plant what we call street trees, and afterwards developments were not required to plant them. Pretty much the only development that was required to plant street trees was Westyn Bay, and we worked it out with the city of Ocoee that if the people wanted to, if we wanted to, we could remove them. As the HOA, if we wanted to, because the trees were located on common property, we could have gone through and removed all the trees. And that was mentioned, and everybody went ballistic back in 2013. And so we came up with this plan so that if somebody wanted to keep their tree, they were just going to have to take responsibility for it, because it's not fair for other people who do not have that tree to have to pay for that individual homeowner's tree when it causes sidewalk problems. So that's where the whole thing comes from. Who gives a flip whether you call it a walk or whether you call it a sidewalk? Who cares? It's irrelevant, as somebody else said. It has nothing to do with it. There's a lot of research has been done with that, and I appreciate it very much, but it has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. These are sidewalks. This is what this is where it all came from. It's all dealing with street tree damage that the homeowner has decided to keep. And that's where it all comes from. And that's why we have it set up the way we did. And most all the letters and everything else, I wrote them. So I mean, we went through with the attorney, Jim Costino, and we made sure that we were dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's, and that everything was as it should be. But we decided that if we weren't going to take the trees out, if we were going to let the people, the homeowners, keep their street trees, which would satisfy them, then they would have to individually take responsibility if they ended up with a tree that was causing a problem. And so we would pay for the first time, as in the HOA, we paid for the first one time that there was a lift, but then the homeowner was on notice and they could have a tree removed. They could change out trees. We had some other trees that they could put in that were not known to, they were known to have deeper roots and wouldn't necessarily lift the sidewalks. The whole thing, we went through all of this stuff, and you guys are bringing this thing back and trying to basically re-adjudicate it all, but you're not looking at what the history was and what established it to begin with. So
what happens if a homeowner sold their house that decided to keep the tree in the new owner? Were they legally given notice when they bought their house that was their responsibility?
How would they know it's their responsibility?
That is not the legal responsibility of the HOA.
So, but then how does what you said? So then they never knew that they even had to do it. But you're saying that you gave them one chance.
I have to concede that was a loophole that was not addressed at the time.
Mr.
Okay,
Crawford,
well,
thank
we need to move on. Thank you.
Thank you for the history, Mr. Crawford. That's super helpful. Terry's going to address, I think, a lot of kind of the history and bring us up to speed on kind of what current prevailing legal opinion is. So, Terry, you want to continue?
So this is basically
Okay,
where.
thank you for the time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
This is where it ends. You know, it is relevant what terms are used. That's the way contracts are written. Lawsuits are won over the definition. What Bill, let's say, what's the definition? Depends on what the definition of is. It's very important. The writers of these documents understood the difference between walkways, walks, and sidewalks, and that's why they wrote it the way they did. You can't just interchange the terms. Now, if you want to get into street trees, we can do that later. I've researched all those documents. You guys never deleted the requirement for street trees.
Yes, we did, because the requirement for street trees in the DCCR is tied explicitly to the development agreement, and it was removed from the development.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
You want me to walk through that now, or do you want to do that next time?
Should we do
I can get you the record of the vote.
Yeah, let's do that next. We'll do that next time. We'll do that next time.
We will probably address the street tree topic next month
Right.
because there's a lot of depth and breadth to it.
That was actually shorter, because that was gonna be.
So.
It was a long one. Either way, we'll probably address that next month. Yes, sir.
What you're saying is that basically 130 people that decided to keep their trees and are now causing damage, that the other 400 people in the association, including the people in Eagles Landing that never had trees, should pay for the damages caused by the 130 trees.
There were 455 street trees when we started that. Okay, and we went through a program, we established a contract where people could sign up and get their street tree removed for $75. And now there are about 130 left. So 325 people or so did the responsible thing. Okay, and relieved us of the responsibility or the burden of having do this damage. Now these trees are tearing up the streets and the curbs and everything else. And you're just shifting the cost from those 130 people to all the rest of us.
That's what the contract DCCR says.
No,
How many of those original 130 people still live in those houses and haven't sold it?
I can tell you that all of the people that paid to have their trees taken out are furious about this. And I can tell you that if you choose to go forward with this, then we will be filing suit against the board.
Good.
good for you, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want, if that's what you want.
Yeah, you can do this definitional sleight of hand, you can change attorneys, but the fundamental principle is if somebody damages your property, they're responsible for making good on it.
And if you're saying that, if you say you're responsible,
Association.
What?
Should
The
we-
trees belong to the association.
it says that the homeowner is responsible for taking care of the trees. If you're saying the roots, if you're saying the roots don't belong to the tree, is that what you're
You
saying?
want me to tell you where it says we have to, it's very.
12.2, did you read, somebody put 12.2 up there.
Next question.
You wanna, we can, he wants me to do a presentation on street trees next month. Be glad to show it to you. I'll walk you through everything.
No, you won't, because you're gonna walk through everything that supports your point of view. You have a street tree?
Yes, I do.
There you go.
And I do too, and I was never notified about it, and I've only lived here 10 years. You
Yeah.
guys sent that letter out long before that.
Sir, can I ask if you were here since 2013, since conception?
It's
Why
not
are you
free. Well, I was.
Why let me finish.
I'm
Why are
gonna
you,
answer your question.
I didn't ask the question.
Go ahead.
Why are you just now bringing this to the attention? Why didn't you bring it to the other board's attention and say it's not?
I did in 2013, I wrote a letter, it was in Afghanistan, you know what I was told? You should have been at the meetings. I was overseas for 3 years.
I've been going on since 2013, 12 years, and you haven't had an opportunity to.
Terry. You have more to do on the presentation, so we could move on to the resolution?
fine.
Okay, go ahead.
It's contentious, I.
No, go ahead,
It's not as straightforward like you're trying to paint.
go ahead.
Okay.
No. Okay, so you want to go where we are with the resolution?
Lights back on?
Yep.
Either they do it or Thomas. Either they do it or Thomas.
We're going to be for my grandson. Very glad.
So we have a resolution that says with name, yes, I think that's what. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, that,
Yeah.
okay, we, yes, ma'am, there's a question on the floor? The gate pass.
Yes. Why do you have to try to, Fairmont to get a quote that negative price on the car?
That's not what we're addressing right now. We're addressing the street tree issue. Okay, all right. Well, you could write us an email and you will be getting back an answer. Send in an email with the question. Could send it to Natalie and myself, Warren Lewis, okay?
Can I read the whole resolution or just the there for us?
Move forward with the resolution.
Okay. All right, the,
Your next slide. Oh, yeah, that Gene.
Yeah, you know, because.
all right, there's a, all right, to conclude the sidewalk discussion here, we have a resolution and I'll read this. This should be posted somewhere or it will be. But whereas pursuant to Article 4 of the Articles of Corporation and Article 7 of the bylaws, the boards exercise all powers, duties, etc. And spinning on down here, whereas Section 12(1)(b) of the Declaration requires members to maintain the right-of-way adjoining, but not located on lots, even though this right-of-way area is located within the common property, including specifically any landscaping or walks, in quotes. Whereas the declaration does not define the word walk, but considering that the word sidewalk is used extensively throughout the documents, there's a strong argument that this was intended to indicate a different responsibility. especially when multiple provisions specifically require the association to maintain, repair, and replace sidewalks. Whereas the board wishes to clarify responsibility of adjoining lot owners for maintenance of landscaping, sidewalks, and walks in the right-of-way area adjoining lots, but located on association common property. Therefore, be it resolved that the board of directors hereby adopts the following resolution as to maintenance of certain landscaping, sidewalks, and walks. And it is and it's a bit lengthy, so bear with me as I read through this.
Is it possible that something like this could be distributed to the association members ahead of this kind of an action?
And we're just supposed to pick it up just for what you're reading? I mean, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
I hear all this transparency and I don't see it.
This is a really big deal, believe me. And there's gonna be 400 people in this community that don't agree with you. Okay, so I think we ought to rethink it, or at least table it and discuss it further at a later date.
We'll send it out to everybody.
Table, send it out from table.
No, we'll send it out to everybody.
Maybe I want you to announce that.
Hmm?
I want you to announce that then as Mr. President.
Once the resolution is passed, it's posted on the website.
Okay, the question on the floor is a request to not pass it, but to have it circulated ahead of time.
It's not a requirement to do so. It's a board resolution. It's a board decision.
It might be in the spirit of transparency.
Should pass.
I think you want to do.
Should pass.
Should pass it.
Yep. Right, have legal opinions.
Back in 2013, we sent things out so that the people could have their voice in it, because it was such a very, very volatile topic. And I would recommend that you do something very similar. You could say, put it forth as a proposal, and but don't pass it until you hear from what the people have to say. You could even put it ask for a vote or something like that.
I agree. It'd be nice to send it out to everybody, but you guys can take it up at the next meeting. I don't see any harm in that, personally.
This can be around too.
Gotta be okay to take.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, we have a request from the floor. You want to handle that? Or you want me to? Okay. The request from the floor to table the vote on the resolution by the board until the full notice can be circulated to everybody. Is there
That's what you gotta do for transparency.
Yeah.
all right, is there a motion among the board to table?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table.
There's a motion on the floor to table this resolution by Carl, seconded by Alex. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Okay. You opposed?
No.
No. You're aye. 4 ayes, 1 opposed.
Okay.
All right, motion carries.
Okay, the motion to table and circulate has been approved. So we will take this up at the July meeting.
And this will be circulated.
This will be circulated.
It'll be posted on the website and Dwelling Life.
Right.
Thank
okay.
you, Natalie.
Okay, next. That's right. Okay, the next thing we're gonna address is to approve the committee charters. We have 3 charters that are there. The charter for landscape, we have a charter for communication, and we have a charter for finance. Is there a motion to accept those 3 charters? That's so that we could use those as guidance for the folks that we're gonna bring on into those committees. And the other committees that we have, we'll be developing the charters also. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the charter for the finance committee.
Finance, we could do all three ones,
All three.
finance, landscape
Landscape.
and.
Communications.
Communication.
Communication. Yeah. So we make a motion.
Seconded.
Yeah. Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to accept the charters for the finance, communications and
Landscape.
landscape by Carl, seconded by
Different.
Tiffany. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. And along with that, I'd like. us
Just,
to-
excuse me, Warren, just a quick edit. It's for the fines committee, charter as opposed to the finance committee.
No, there's one for the finance.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah, fine.
It's finance.
Yeah.
Finance,
It's not for the fines committee?
finance.
Finance.
Okay, got it. Got it. Sorry.
The names that you can approve, it's several names, there are 4 names or 5 names that I'm not gonna call now because we're still working with the folks to make sure that they can come on board. But the names that I'll say now would be Bob Rubin.
Yeah.
Rodney Stockstill, Chip Elliott, Ken Bear, Reed Raymond, David Cohen, Kim Mikulski, Yi Ching Fen, Sean Mikulski, William Terry Craper, are all individuals who we would put on these committees right now. There's 6 other names that we're working with that I won't mention now. But I'd like a motion on those names as far as to be on the committees that we have established.
I'll make a motion to approve the names of Sunday committees.
Is it seconded?
Okay.
We have a motion on the floor by Carl and seconded by Alex for the names that I just mentioned to be on several of the committees that we've identified. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Talking about a 3-year audit. We have a motion about conducting a 3-year audit. The finances,
It's an annual audit every year.
This would be a forensic audit.
Forensic audit.
Rents.
Yes. Do we get a clean slate and know exactly what we're looking at on the books?
Tracking criminal activity, that's.
No.
You don't have to suspect
No,
criminal.
nothing to do with criminal activity. Clean slate.
Exactly. So,
In essence, we want to know what we're inheriting as a new board and just looking at the most recent 3 years will give a good snapshot. And a forensic audit is in essence comparing invoices, checks that were written with the actual invoices compared to that. We don't suspect anything untoward by anybody. And it's not an accusation of anybody. It's a fairly routine accounting procedure done every so often.
How much is it gonna cost?
$3,500.
$3,500 per year, so a total of $10,500.
I emailed and have someone already, and he sent, and I was on a Zoom call, and there, Mr. Lewis, and I had the phone up on him, I was like, why is it so recession? The homeowner, we like to see what we're for all money spent, and stuff like that, and then the answer about my email. So, thank you, kudos.
I have the motion on the floor to accept that.
Right.
Yes.
Sorry.
The motion on the floor.
Secretary had that comment stricken from the minutes.
I'm gonna make a motion if you interpret.
Okay, the motion on the floor by Tiffany, the forensic audit, seconded by, seconded by Carl. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, the last thing we want to discuss is the consolidation of our legal actions to the DeMassey Law Firm, consolidate everything under DeMassey Burton Law Firm. And
What's the purpose of that one?
we feel that we can get better services from a larger legal firm.
We feel it's time for fresh eyes. The current legal counsel's been with the association for 10, 12 years plus. We just feel like it's time for fresh eyes. And again, no,
What's the disadvantage of just maintaining the agreement with Casino? You don't have to pay them unless you hire them, but you'll have that option of going there for some reason. They couldn't, the new firm could not handle something that you needed done. Why not just keep it as an option?
He's got history.
He's got a history here since 2012, so he knows.
we do, but given the contentious history between the board and the residents over the past 10 years, we felt like having a different legal counsel would be a breath of fresh air.
But you can have both.
Well, we think we prefer to go with one.
I mean, you can just use Tomasi, but I don't see the benefit of just canceling an agreement that you could go to if you wanted. Or it's some history. I just don't see the benefit of firing somebody when you don't need to.
Duly noted.
I'd like to offer a counterpoint just for comment. I
Yes,
commend the
Bernard.
board
Yep.
for, I commend the board for doing this, and I've had negative experiences with the previous attorney. And I wholeheartedly agree that a breath of fresh air is needed. And I would outright fire him if I were in your shoes, not retain anything. Thanks for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson.
You don't use the audit will come in. You don't even auditors to audit them.
Right.
That's all it is.
Okay, there's the motion on the floor to consolidate our legal affairs under the Demasi Burton firm. Go ahead, a motion on that. Seconded. Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Alex to consolidate our legal matters under Demasi Burton and seconded by Tiffany. All in favor? Aye. Carries unanimously. All right, Natalie, we're down to fines, referrals, and attorneys. Are you there?
I'm here. So we have two accounts to be forwarded over to the association attorney for covenant enforcement. One is for lawn maintenance and one is, the home needs the repaint for the exterior.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
believe there's pictures in the packet.
Right. Let's go see him. Like to have a motion as far as referring to the attorney for covenant enforcement, lawn maintenance and repairs. So last set of pictures on the packet,
Page 32 of the packet.
page 32. Can I
Big
get a-
I'll make a motion. To approve, send the lawn maintenance.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Carl to approve sending for covenant enforcement, the lawn maintenance and repainting. Seconded by Alex. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries unanimously. The next one.
Next one is two flat fee invoices. These are files that have already been sent over to the attorney for demand. And this is for the next process, of litigation for two accounts. The flat fee invoices are both for $1,150 each.
Okay. Entertain a motion to send those two accounts over for flat fees, litigation at $1,150 each. Like a
Make a
motion,
motion to send those fees to the attorney.
motion on the floor by Carl, seconded by Alex. To send those flat fee cases over for litigation for $1,150. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Next one is delinquency suspensions, Natalie.
And the last one is to suspend the amenity access for the accounts that are in arrears past 90 days and over $50.
I'll make a motion that
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Carl to suspend the amenity access for accounts over 90 days. Seconded by Tiffany. All in favor? Carries unanimously. Okay. Next thing that we need to talk about is the next board meeting. Where we're thinking about having a special meeting for the reserve study. Natalie, you gonna check to see what date that'll be available? The folks will be available to do that?
Yep, I'll get with the reserve advisors and see when they can do a Zoom presentation.
Okay, should we do the Zoom presentation or should we have them present here so that
It's a little costly for them to, it's like $200 an hour, I think they said, to have them come in person, but it's up to you.
the board, as far as the
We
reserve
can
study?
do that Zoom. What do you think? Zoom?
Zoom, there's no cost associated with it, so.
I think remote is fine.
Okay, everybody's saying Zoom then, so if you could check with them to find out and then we'll set that date. So should we then still consider the 21st as the date for the next board meeting?
I mean, I think what,
Before that, we're gonna do the reserve study before that. That'll be a separate meeting.
yeah, that'll just be a separate meeting. The date of the next regular board meeting will be July 21st. And then in the interim, when we can get that Zoom meeting set up with the reserve advisors, we could schedule it. That's fine.
And at the 21st meeting, we'll do the other presentation.
Which day?
The 21st, July. Yeah. Okay, all right, so the next directors meeting will be July 21st at 7 o'clock here at the clubhouse, and we will also be doing it by Zoom. So we'll see if we had any problems. We had a few problems today doing both. We'll try and rectify those problems so that next time we won't have the same problems. Okay. All right, so 21st on that, I'd like to have a motion. Are there any questions, anything anyone would like to discuss or address that has not been addressed?
Anybody online as well?
Yes.
Much ado was made prior to the annual meeting about the appointment of directors. And we, in fact, in the last year, made a resolution that directors would be appointed according to the order of the vote they received. By my reckoning, and my recall, Tiffany did not get as many votes as Steve Wetzel did. And I'm wondering why Tiffany is sitting there as an appointed director rather than Steve Wetzel.
Well, to answer that question, it would be that the vote, there was a duly seated board and a vacancy occurred. So what you're talking about deals with an election. There was no election needed because there was a board already seated.
That was a long-standing practice. And that was what was so heavily criticized by Mr. Ogle and others, that we made appointments. So to satisfy the criticism, we made a resolution in the previous board that all such appointments would follow the order of the election. So that way, the person who was next appointed would have been elected to that position by virtue of the votes they got. That was a big, big deal. And now all of a sudden, that's not.
My understanding is, like I said, that was for elections, that we would elect 3 people at each election. So there were no more appointments. The election was held and you had a fully constituted board and a vacancy occurred. Because the vacancy occurred, then the board was allowed to select an individual, and that's what the board did.
That just counteracts the history of the whole issue. It's contrary to the way that evolved. I'd be happy to talk to you about private life.
Certainly, we can talk about it. Okay.
I have the resolution pulled up online, and it only talks about elections.
Yeah, when there's a board vacancy in the middle of a term, the same rules don't apply. The the appointment resolution was strictly for elections. That three board members would be elected, 2 would be appointed, but the 2 that would get appointed at the election would be the next 2 vote getters. A vacancy that arises in the middle of a term, that still follows the same, the same rules that are in the bylaws that the board can appoint for the rest of that term, whoever they choose.
Those are actually not in the bylaws, they're in the statute that governs non-profit corporations.
Vacancy, when a vacancy occurs, it is in your bylaws as well. There's a provision in there for vacancies.
Whatever.
It's in there, I promise.
Anything else? Okay, anything else online? Natalie?
I don't see anything. Last call. Is there anybody online that has any questions or comments? No, I think we're good.
Thank you all, online participants, for giving a part of your evening over to the meeting, and for you also in attendance. Thank you for coming.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. A motion on the floor from Tiffany to adjourn, and seconded by Carl. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at
8:52,
8:52.
Apple Standard Time.
Good timing, guys.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned, 8:52.
Thank you, Nat.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Terry, next one for the other one.